Before this video starts, if you enjoyed this video, there are many more like it already on the channel with many more like it to come in the future, so subscribe. I'm trying to hit 125,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I would really appreciate it. I upload 7 days a week on this channel, so if you're looking for some consistent basketball talk, this is the place for it. Also drop a like on this video, it only takes 1 second and it makes a massive difference. So we have our finals matchup, the Miami Heat versus the Los Angeles Lakers, and if you go back and look at my predictions as well as many people's others' predictions, not many people had the Miami Heat making the NBA Finals. And I really feel there is one big lesson, I guess there are two, it's kind of combined, that you can learn from the Miami Heat and how they got to where they did, which is the two things that are, again, kind of intertwined. Culture and not tanking. The Miami Heat got to where they did today because they had a foundation, a culture that they believed in, and they did not waver from it, and they did not resort to tanking to get to where they are today. Think about it like this. The Miami Heat did not tank for a single year after LeBron James left in free agency. The Philadelphia 76ers have been tanking for damn near half a decade to get to be a first-round exit, and the Miami Heat are currently heading into the NBA Finals. That's just one example. The Chicago Bulls have been tanking for 3 years. The Miami Heat land Jimmy Butler, and then here they are now making the Finals. Yes, that pains me as a Bulls fan. Although technically the Bulls didn't tank last year, they were just fucking garbage, so take that into consideration. But the Miami Heat have a foundation of culture. They have a very no-nonsense culture, and it's why people should have believed in the Miami Heat earlier on than they did because of what a great fit the Heat culture and Jimmy Butler was, because I really cannot think of a better fit in the league than Jimmy Butler and what the Miami Heat had established in the years prior. No bullshit. All about winning. No side stuff, it's all business. That's how the Miami Heat have viewed it for years, even when they weren't a particularly good team. Hassan Whiteside and Dion Waiters being like the foundation of their team for a couple of years, they were still no bullshit. Which is ironic because Dion Waiters and Hassan Whiteside are kind of bullshit-ass players, so I don't know what to say about that, but they kind of got them out of there and they really tried to filter it out to where they had this thing where they're like, you have to have a certain body fat percentage if you're signing with us, and you have to have a certain level of dedication to basketball. You have to really care about winning. It can't just be kind of a side thing for you. You can't be one of those players who comes in the league and is like, I'm just going to make as much money as possible. The Heat don't fuck with that. Not at all. And you see that in the history of all the moves that they've made. Think about the amount of underdogs that this team has gotten. Tyler Hero, late lottery pick, ends up being fucking awesome for them. I'd consider him a bit of an underdog because of that. A lot, and I mean a lot of people did not believe in him going into this draft. I didn't even know who he was going into this draft, which was another thing, but for the people that did, there were so many takes that I saw come out after that 37-point game versus the Celtics that he had, where they were like, Tyler Hero's not going to be a good NBA player. And clearly that has not been the case. Duncan Robinson, undrafted. Pretty sure he was not even like, didn't he average like 12 points as a senior in college? Something like that. I know they were talking about that in the games. He's fucking awesome. He's a ridiculously good three-point shooter. Like probably the third best three-point shooter in the NBA behind the Splash Brothers. Underdog. Kendrick Nunn. Now, he didn't play much for them in this offseason, or in this postseason, obviously, but regular season, he was a big part of their success, and he was undrafted, or a second-round pick, I can't remember. Bam Adebayo, late lottery pick. He is looking like one of the best players from his draft class. All of this because these players had something to fight for. And they had something to prove, and they went to a team that was like, we're going to surround you with what's required for you to prove your worth. And Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn, and Jimmy Butler have all done that with the foundation of the Miami Heat. Let's talk about Erik Spoelstra. This guy was a video coordinator for the Heat for years, and now he is going to his 5th NBA Finals as a head coach. That is a hell of a thing. Hell, even when they had LeBron James, LeBron kind of wanted Erik Spoelstra gone, but Pat Riley, with his no bullshit mindset, was like, no, I'm going to tell the best player in the league we're holding on to Erik Spoelstra, because Erik Spoelstra is a goddamn winner. And it's that foundation that got the Miami Heat to where they are today. Think about every matchup they had. So first round doesn't really matter, but second round, they meet the Milwaukee Bucks. One thing I wouldn't say the Milwaukee Bucks have is a strong culture and strong leadership. That's one of the weaker elements of Giannis, unfortunately, is he's not much of a leader. Jimmy Butler is a phenomenal leader. That was a big part of it. Obviously, they had the matchup, but also when you see the on-the-court product, it's not just this no bullshit mentality that translates onto the court to where all these players are working hard. There's nobody taking possessions off on the Miami Heat. Nobody. And it's because of that that they're really good at making their opponent uncomfortable, because most teams in the league have a few players that are gonna take a few possessions off, especially on the defensive end, and the Miami Heat take advantage of that. They also are just a very smart team. No bullshit doesn't just mean like not being lazy. It also means studying the game to the fullest extent, and they do that. The film that they go over is extensive. Erik Spoelstra knows his X's and O's. He outcoached the shit out of Mike Budenholzer in the second round because he created so many schemes that messed with what the Milwaukee Bucks did all regular season. Now, it's partially on Mike Budenholzer that he did not adjust. He kept continuing to do drop coverage despite the fact that it wasn't working, kept continuing to run big when it wasn't working, kept continuing to run Giannis like he's a ball handler like he shouldn't be over and over, and the Miami Heat continued to take advantage after advantage after advantage of that. And they were smart enough to know that, they worked hard enough to work through that, and they got them out of the second round versus what was viewed as the clear favorite in the Eastern Conference. Then we get to the conference finals. The Boston Celtics, they're in an interesting spot right now, and I do plan on making a video about them as well. But they are not the greatest in terms of leadership. The problem with that team is they have a lot of options, but they don't really have a hierarchy. Of course, Jason Tatum is the best player, but there's so many possessions where it's like, why is Marcus Smart shooting the ball late in the fourth quarter when you have Jason Tatum on your team? Why is he the guy running the offense right now? And that's because there is a little bit of a struggle, even still, not as bad as it was back with Kyrie and Marcus Morris and Terry Rozier, but a little bit of a struggle with the shot distribution and a little bit of a struggle with leadership and the hierarchy. The Miami Heat have all of that shit figured out. The Miami Heat are a model organization. They do everything you're supposed to do as an organization, despite the fact that I would argue the Miami Heat are far from the most talented roster going into the playoffs this year. Like, I would say the Bucks are a more talented roster, although I do think the Heat were a better team. The Sixers had a better roster, the Raptors had a better roster, the Celtics had a better roster. I picked the Celtics to win in 7 games because they had a better roster. Then after that, I think it's the Heat, but that goes to show that every other thing outside of just the talent, the Miami Heat have locked down. And back to the tanking conversation, because I mentioned that earlier. I use the Heat as an example in the past because they're a team that they stuck with their guns. They were not going to tank. They were not going to deliberately suck. And because of that, this culture of just trying, not winning, because they were not a great team, many times didn't even make the playoffs, but this culture of doing what you can, doing the best you can under all circumstances, persisted throughout that franchise for years to get them to where they are today. When you think about teams that have chosen to tank, the New York Knicks have been tanking for a decade. They have been doing this, and the thing is, the reason that they're considering trading for Chris Paul, and trading a lot for Chris Paul, because you hear people say, like, why would they trade for Chris Paul? They're young and they're not good. They're probably, at least hopefully, learning the lesson that all this tanking leads to a non-existent culture. It leads to players not giving a shit if you win or not. Only caring about their numbers, only caring about their place in the league, and that's about it. The effort on both ends of the court, the selfishness, all of that persists from a lack of having a good culture. They want to trade for Chris Paul because Chris Paul would give them that culture. Even if you're trading for good first round picks for a 35-year-old guy who is making $40 million a year, because Chris Paul is going to bring in that culture. It's why I have advocated for the Bulls trading for Chris Paul. The Chicago Bulls the past couple of years have not had a culture. The hope is that Billy Donovan is going to be the guy that brings in a winning culture. We'll see. I don't know yet. I was hoping for Kenny Atkinson for that same reason. With the Miami Heat, have not had to look for these desperate solutions for culture because they never resorted to tanking. And because of the Miami Heat, really, and because of the failure of the Sixers lately, I have really become anti-tanking, the failure of my Bulls as well. Like, it's just not a good idea because you just hack away any semblance of culture when you're trading all your vets and you're trying to get as many first round picks as possible and you're trying to lose as many games as possible just to develop young talent. It's hard to develop young talent when they're expecting to lose night in and night out, and they're okay with losing night in and night out. And that's why you see teams get stuck in this loop of just being bad for year after year after year, like the Detroit Pistons or the Charlotte Hornets. They don't have a culture. The Miami Heat have proven the value of culture in the NBA. And hopefully my Chicago Bulls take note of that, and hopefully a few other franchises in the league take note of that. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same culture as the Miami Heat. Grit and grind is a culture that was pretty good, that made them far outweigh their talent, things of that nature, but it's important that that is established. The Brooklyn Nets a few years ago, when they had D'Angelo Russell and managed to make the playoffs, that team was not very talented, but Kenny Atkinson and the guys on that roster built a great culture, and that was able to get them farther than what their actual talent was. The Miami Heat are not the most talented team in the NBA. Far from it. And yet they are one of the two teams that made it to the NBA Finals. And that speaks volumes for the value of culture. Just a heads up for the rest of the videos on this channel for the next coming weeks. I'm going to be uploading a reaction to every single finals game as long as it merits it. There might be games that are just like, there's nothing really interesting to say here. So I'm going to be making my regular schedule, and then I'm also going to do reaction videos to each finals game. So they're probably going to be like 10 videos a week for the next 2 weeks. Hopefully I don't burn the fuck out, but lots of basketball to talk about on this channel. So subscribe if you want to support me outside of just your like and subscription. I have a Patreon, I'm making a Discord server, and there's some extra content over there, so go follow that and go watch the latest episode of the podcast. That is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.